Hey guys, today I want to talk with you about It Ends With Us, a contemporary romance novel by Colleen Hoover, which was released back in 2016. The same year when it was published, the book took first place as the best romance novel within the Goodreads Choice Awards. And while the romance aspect of the book is definitely great, I would argue that this book is so much more than your typical romance novel. So as per usual, we will start this video with a short synopsis, then proceed into a non-spoiler review, and wrap this video up with the spoilers. If you haven't read the book yet, then do not worry. I will make sure to let you know when the spoilers begin. So in this book, we follow a young 20-something-year-old woman named Lily. Lily is from a small town in Maine. We learn rather quickly that her home life growing up was far from perfect, and therefore as soon as she got a chance, she moved to Boston, where she finished her education in business and is now dreaming of opening her own flower shop. While enjoying a well-deserved break from a complicated day, Lily meets a handsome young man named Riley. Riley is a self-assured, intelligent, and easy-to-talk-to person. They end up talking, and even though sparks fly, the two of them quickly realize that they want completely different things from life. While Lily is looking for that one and only perfect relationship, her soulmate, or as she puts it, the Holy Grail, Riley is much more preoccupied with his career goals and plans of becoming the best neurosurgeon in the country. And while he is definitely interested in a one-night stand, in his eyes any sort of actual relationship would be nothing but a disturbance. More than half of the novel is somewhat divided into two timelines. We follow Lily in the current timeline, where she is trying to navigate her new dream work as well as her relationships, and at the same time we get lots of diary entries that show what Lily's life was like when she was 15 years old, when she befriended an 18-year-old homeless boy named Atlas. Throughout the diary entries, we do not only observe Lily falling in love for the first time, but we also follow her through her formative years and relationship with her parents, both of which still have a huge impact on Lily. So let me start by saying that I absolutely loved this book. This book raised so many emotions within me that first of all, I found it impossible to put the book down as I got so absolutely invested in Lily's life. And secondly, after I finished reading it, I found it difficult to actually get the book out of my head. I finished the book, I put it aside, went to work, and I honestly felt completely useless for the rest of the day, as this book was all I could think about. Now I know that from the synopsis this book sounds like your average cliché romance novel. Girl and boy meets, girl wants a relationship, boy is against them, but boy has a soft spot for the girl so he can't really seem to let her go. Girl and boy falls in love and they live happily ever after. But I promise to you, this is not the story you're going to get when reading It Ends With Us. The romance part of the book is great. It's witty and fun and sexy, and it makes you look at the world through pink-tinted glasses. But what actually matters in this book is Lily's story, her feelings and the choices she has to make. And none of that is easy. Honestly, it's really hard to talk about this book without jumping into spoilers. All I can say is that I highly recommend this book to pretty much anyone, but especially for the fellow ladies out there. Overall, the story is phenomenal. The pacing of the book is great, the characters are interesting and multi-dimensional. This story made me laugh, it made me cry my eyes out, and maybe most importantly, it made me reevaluate how I, myself, do judge others around me. And on this note, since there's plenty of what to talk about if you have already read the book, we will proceed to the spoiler review. If you haven't read this book yet, I strongly recommend you to turn off this video, as this novel without a doubt leaves the biggest impression on you if you manage to stay spoiler-free. Now I know that the book is officially divided into two parts. But the way I see it, the division mark between the two parts is put in the wrong place. In my head, this book will always be divided into before the casserole incident and after the casserole incident. So I would also like to divide my spoiler review into the before and the after. When it comes to Riley, as soon as we meet him, I felt like he's walking on a very fine line between being charming and confident and being an arrogant douche. Like a lot of his behavior, starting with his openness about not really seeing any value in having a proper relationship, or seeking out Lily's apartment just to claim that he can't get her out of his head and therefore she needs to have sex with him so he could just move on with his life, generally could be perceived in a rather negative light. Him falling on his knees and begging Lily to make it stop is not a generally pretty picture. Normally it would come out as needy and pushy, especially since he was already told no multiple times. Now I think that at the end of the day this behavior ends up being charming rather than douchey because Lily is on it. She is voluntarily joining the game Riley invites her to play. They're both in this together. Reading the story from her perspective, we see that not once Lily is made to feel uncomfortable or pressured by Riley. And therefore, we as the readers also start to look at this as something fun and flirtatious. Throughout the whole story, Lily is a wonderful main character to follow. She's easygoing, smart, kind, and funny. She's sympathetic to other people's problems. She's driven when it comes to her work, as well as her level of self-confidence easily matches that one of Riley's. She comes off as a person one can look up to or would want to have in their lives. Her issues with domestic abuse didn't turn her into someone closed off, someone with massive commitment issues. In the beginning of the book, she stands her ground when it comes to Riley. She lets him know that she is not into one-night stands, and after some time goes by, she's very open about the fact that she can't keep on going with this flirty teasing because she actually likes him, and at this point, the non-committal teasing just ends up hurting her. And this is the time in the book where, in my eyes, Riley distances himself completely from the douchey territory. He listens to her, he makes his decision to actually try having a proper relationship with Lily, and he sticks to it. We see him actually try to be a good boyfriend, and we see that this role comes completely naturally to him. Riley is such a great, supportive, and attentive boyfriend that when Atlas showed up in Lily's life again, I got upset. I didn't want Atlas. I wanted Riley. By that time, I was already so head over heels for Riley that I honestly didn't want to see him get hurt. And then the casserole incident happened, and suddenly I felt lost. I mean, I can only applaud Colleen Hoover for doing such a wonderful job making me fall in love with Riley before showing this violent side of him. I feel like if I would have had any idea that Riley is an abusive man, if someone would have spoiled that part of the book to me before, I know that I would have been skeptical while reading about all the interactions between Riley and Lily. I would have kept looking for any of the red flags and would have not allowed myself to root for their relationship. But now it was too late. I already loved him. And that was what the author wanted me to feel all along. From the Lily's inner struggles and from the way she used to perceive her mom, she believes that women who do not leave their abusive partners are weak or lack self-esteem or are just plain stupid. However, by letting her and us fall in love with Riley and all the good parts of their relationship, the author made us understand so much better the reasoning behind Lily's decision to stay. The heartache that she felt when she realized that she's incapable of just breaking up with him, even though he did physically hurt her. In addition to that, the whole situation that led to Riley assaulting Lily is constructed in such a way that if you really want to, you could see it as an accident, as a poor split-second decision Riley made during a stressful situation. After the first time he hurt Lily, and after his extensive apologies, we go back to this beautiful relationship. And yet with everything that had happened up until now, the author managed quite perfectly to instill this double feeling within me. where part of me hoped that this was a one-time thing, that Riley is not a violent man, that Riley loves her. While at the same time, I just kept on waiting for Riley to lose his patience again and choose violence. Overall, the first time Riley and Lily interact, he tells her that there's no such thing as bad people, just people who sometimes do bad things. Now, these words can very well summarize the main idea of the story. As the author makes us fall in love with Riley, she also encourages us to sympathize with him. Yes, Riley is short-tempered. He can be violent and cruel when it comes to Lily, but he is also not inherently malicious. Outside of these three incidents, he is shown to be a good husband, and by the end of the book, he is shown to be a loving father. Lily herself, while overall a great human being, has done some regretful things. Of course, her bad things do not equate at all to the physical violence, yet it is implied that she is partially to blame for the insecurities Riley was feeling towards her history with Atlas. Almost 10 years after her relationship with Atlas has come to an end, and she still brought a piece of that relationship in the form of the magnet and the diaries to her home that she shares with her husband. And we as readers know that keeping that magnet on display on the fridge in both of the apartments is not being done by accident. It's not that she is just so very much in love with the touristic Boston souvenirs. She did keep it precisely because she does still have feelings for Atlas. In addition, when being angry, she tells Riley that she wishes that the baby was not his. She does that just because she knows that hearing her say that will hurt him, which she acknowledges as soon as she says it. And saying this makes her compare herself to her father, who is arguably the biggest baddie of the book. However, even he isn't described as inherently bad. While he was a garbage human being towards his own wife, for most of the time he was a rather decent father to Lily. Decent enough that Lily grew up speculating that she would have actually loved her father if she would not have known about the abusive nature of his relationship with her mother. All in all, I loved how this book did not excuse anyone's behaviors, yet it was written in such a way that made it easy to understand why people behaved in the way they did. I did enjoy the ending of the book. It just felt right. I strongly believe that Lily made the right choice divorcing Riley, and this whole scene where she is talking to him after giving birth to their baby daughter made me cry. And I'm not talking about a few tears falling down my face type of cry. I'm talking about sobbing loudly, ugly crying, because while I understood that this is the right thing to do for them and for their daughter, I could not help but also felt heartbroken for them. On a more positive note, I was happy to see that Riley got to stay in the life of his daughter and that Lily found her way back to Atlas, who was shown on multiple occasions to be that holy grail she was looking for. And as a side note, I was actually very happy that nothing happened between Lily and Atlas when she ran away after the third time Riley had assaulted her. The fact that nothing happened spoke volumes about both of their characters. As well as I felt like if the relationship between Lily and Atlas would have been rekindled then, it would have undercut the message of Lily making the choices for herself and her being the person who is responsible for actually piecing herself back together. And yet, even though everything ended on a somewhat of a positive note, I felt like the journey we took with Lily stayed with me. And after everything she went through, there will always be this leftover residue in all of their lives that will never completely go away. And in the end of the day, in my eyes, this journey Lily went through makes her an incredibly strong and compelling character. But that's just my opinion. What about yours?